last project, the decorative signpost, we used our acetylene torch out in the field to cut the old signpost in half so we could haul it off. That's a great use for this tool. We were a long way from electricity and none of our other cutting tools would have worked. While it has a lot of decent applications in the shop, there's some other things that we're going to use that are often going to be better. It is a good tool to have around, so let's look at some of the details of it. Because it runs off of compressed and highly flammable gases, there are quite a few safety issues that you need to be aware of on the acetylene torch. Starting with the bottles, they need to be held in a secure location like this carrier at all times, and it really should be strapped to something. Your regulators need to be firmly attached to your bottles and hoses, but never use any oil or other lubricants on these threads. Just like your bottles, your regulators need to be protected from damage. If you ever do have a problem with your regulators, make sure they're repaired by a professional, as they are very delicate. The next thing that we need to look at are the hoses themselves. Because they are somewhat delicate and are exposed to various dangers in the shop and in the field, you need to examine them regularly to make sure they don't become damaged, particularly up around the ferrule where they attach at both ends and along the length where they might have become cut. Your torch is fairly basic. You need to make sure that you understand the operating valves on your particular model and read the instructions carefully for such items as how to set pressure. Our general safety items are you need to use a striker for lighting at all times, never use an open flame, and of course you need goggles and gloves to protect yourselves. Now that we've looked at these safety issues, let's look at how you light and cut with your torch. In order to operate your torch safely, it's important that you do everything in a systematic manner and in the right order. When your torch was shut down from the last use, your main valve should have been turned clockwise all the way to ensure that the valves were closed, and then your adjustment valves should be turned all the way counterclockwise to leave no pressure in the system. After you've ensured that that was done, make sure you close all of the valves on your torch, and then we're ready to get started on lighting it. The first thing you want to do is open your main oxygen valve all the way. Then adjust your regulator to the pressure recommended in your operator's manual. Next, you want to open your acetylene bottle 1/4 to 1/2 of a turn and then adjust the pressure on it also. Because this particular torch has a 2-valve system, I can open the main valve on the torch all the way. I'm now going to put on my safety glasses so that as soon as I've got my torch lit, I can proceed to cutting. To light the torch, I'm going to crack open the acetylene valve and use my striker to light a flame. When the torch is lit, you'll have a rough, smoky flame. Continue opening the acetylene valve until the smoke disappears. Next, you want to add oxygen to the flame until an inner cone develops and recedes close to the tip. With the flame adjusted this way, you can begin your cut. Apply the flame to the steel and wait for a molten puddle to form. Once the puddle forms, operate the lever, adding oxygen to the formula to blow away the excess material. From a safety standpoint, shutting down the torch properly is just as important as getting it turned on. You want to shut off your torch and then move to the bottles, shutting off the acetylene first. Close the main valve and then loosen the adjustment valve to get down to no pressure, which you then bleed off at the torch. You do the same thing with the oxygen, and then your torch is ready for storage. You want to coil your hose neatly and then store your torch and your other accessories in the carrier so they'll be there when you need them the next time. It's important that you store your entire assembly in a secure location where it won't get knocked over or knocked into and damaged. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to our channel. 8FD Designs works out of 32,000 square feet of building on 3.5 acres in Decatur, Texas. If you want to learn more about our events, our store, our classroom, or want to come by for a shop tour, come and see us in Decatur, Texas.